We're back.
We're
Welcome back
back.
to the Real Elizabeth Jones Variety Hour.
We're
And I hope y'all had a good break. And
back like a bad coin. I never understood that phrase. Every time I get a coin, even a penny, I'm happy with it.
yeah, me
You
too.
find a penny on the, or better yet, a dime or a quarter on the ground.
Yeah, like when you pick it up for good luck, you
You pick it
know.
up for good.
Yeah.
I know somebody who always picks up coins, pennies and stuff.
Yeah.
And she told me, I said, you pick up every penny you see? She said, no, and she's a real believer in luck and everything. I
Yeah.
don't believe
I don't
in
really.
that. Not superstitious. But she said something very interesting. She said, if I see a penny and it's tails, I don't pick it up. But if I have any time for the next person, I will turn it to heads.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the next person sees a heads, they'll pick it up because we all know the same code and
Yeah.
everything. And so I said, well, gosh, if you
Right.
if you find a penny that's tails and you turn it to heads,
Yeah.
then pick it up. It's heads.
Right.
now it's
Right.
now it's heads.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So anyway, this has been a wild week. I got to tell you, I went to the doctor,
Oh, okay.
and I guess I got a clean bill of health. You
Yeah.
know, I'm kind of health conscious
Praise
stuff,
God. Yes.
and I got
Woo.
all my vaccinations and
Oh, so
everything.
did I. So did
Yeah.
I. I got two shots this past summer, and then I got my booster shot like last week. So
Let me tell you about me.
I'm all excited about it.
I've gotten 3 shots. I told my doctor I'm a big believer in vaccinations.
Yes, me too.
I
So
said, I said, I said, if there was a vaccination for dandruff, I'd get it.
yeah,
So anyway, okay, let me count it down. 2 COVID shots, 1 booster shot for COVID, so
yeah,
3 shots
same here.
all together. Since the pandemic started, 2 flu shots. Well, it's been almost 2 years, so in the
Yeah,
2 year period, I've gotten 2 typical flu shots. I've gotten 2 shingle shots,
yeah.
and my doctor was so happy. He told me that 30% of the population are getting their shots,
My
and
dad
we
got his shots too.
yeah, we could be through with this pandemic had we gotten the shots. And there are
Yes,
people that, and let's face it, there are people in our society
that are
that are
anti-vax.
not only are they anti-vax, they're anti-progress, they're anti-health.
Yes,
These are people, that I would not ask their opinion on. I would not ask their opinion on what to get at McDonald's.
yeah,
and they're the ones telling me, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, so this is what happened. So after my physical,
yeah,
and yeah, I get one every year. I'm, real
yeah,
health
yeah,
nut.
yeah.
After my physical, which always results at the end of the physical
Mm,
in the worst 15 seconds of my year.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Since I turned 40, I mean, in the years since I turned 40, I get the 40-year-old man's physical,
yeah.
which is no fun at all.
Right, right.
And what's the old story? There's all this technology and blood tests and computers
Yeah,
and space technology and everything
right.
and the space-time continuum and everything, and
Yeah.
yet the doctor still uses the middle finger to decide if you have prostate cancer.
Yeah.
So anyway, why is it all baked down to
Right.
I think the ancient Greeks were still using their finger. The
Yeah.
doctors were still using
Yeah.
their
Yeah. Yeah.
finger. Hippocrates.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so then the doctor sprang something on me. He says, "I think you should. When's the last time you got a tetanus shot?" I said, "The last time I got a tetanus shot, God, the last time I went to the emergency room was like 30 years ago. I
Oh
I
wow.
cut my finger opening a bagel.
Oh
I didn't.
wow.
In those days, people didn't know how to open bagels. Now we kind of have bagel cutters and everything.
Yeah.
And they said the bagels now mangoes are the most dangerous food you could that causes most emergency
Right.
room things.
Right.
People cutting themselves,
Right.
opening up. Now it was bagels in the day, so I was opening up a bagel. God, it's so Jewish. Me,
Yeah.
I'm here for a Jewish
Yeah.
malady.
Yeah.
Opening a bagel.
Yeah.
So anyway, I cut my finger, and I don't even think I got a tetanus shot then. So I got a tetanus shot.
Yeah.
Probably since I was a kid, I got a tetanus shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he said, well, there's something called the DPT
Yeah.
tetanus shot, the DPT vaccination.
Oh yeah.
And do you want it? Do you want to get it? I said, yes, I want to get it. Write me a write me a prescription, and I'll get it. He goes, no,
Right.
no, I don't mean
Right.
later on. I'm talking about right now. He was so happy my speech about just like the same speech I gave about vaccinations that he gave me.
Right.
He said, "You could." My nurse snapped his fingers. Come
Right.
on over here, give him a shot.
Right.
And I
Right.
got the shot. He goes, there might be some side effects, and I had no side effects all those other shots I
Me
got.
neither. I never had side effects from all the
The
COVID
first
vaccines. So.
first thing, and then later that night, I
Yeah.
woke up in the middle of the night with
Right.
a terrible headache.
Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure it was from the
Yeah.
vaccination, but this is my rule about vaccinations. But then I got over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
By
Yeah.
11:30 that morning, I
Right.
got over my headache.
Right.
And let me tell you
Right.
something. The doctors all concur is that when you that as bad as the side effects or the discomfort or the inconvenience you have getting the shot,
Mm-hmm.
it is kid stuff compared to catching the disease that the shot is trying to prevent.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I have. So
Right.
what if I
Yeah. Yeah.
so, so what if I have a little a tear comes down my eye when I
Yeah.
get the shot?
Yeah.
It's nothing like catching COVID or catching
Yeah. Yeah.
diphtheria or something.
Yeah.
There's a one of the diseases is that the thing uh, that the shot I got prevented was whooping cough.
Oh
You know
yeah.
anything about whooping cough? Did you ever have it?
I never had the whooping cough.
No one in
So.
America should get whooping cough.
Right.
And the reason why we don't get whooping cough is because it is a disease that is almost eradicated in America.
Right. Right. Right.
So this happened many years ago. I went to Ireland
Yeah.
and I at the time I had very young cousins. I mean,
Yeah.
young cousins, they're
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
in their like 6 years old and stuff.
Yeah.
And they caught the whooping cough. It's a contagious disease, and it's the
Wow.
worst thing you could hear. It's like 6 weeks of
Wow.
and you think the kid is going to die. They don't die, but it's terrible for them to go
Wow.
through this.
Wow.
And everyone was worried about me. They
Oh.
said, did you ever get whooping cough? I said, no, I never got whooping cough. And I'm like
Mm.
in my 20s. And then I realized I don't know anyone who's gotten whooping cough. So then, so I had to contact my mother in a letter. Those days we wrote letters.
Yeah.
And I said, what's this about whooping cough? And she herself had whooping cough. She was from Ireland. And she told me, you got a shot against whooping cough in America. They evidently have never gotten to the point in Ireland where they're taking vaccines for
Yeah.
whooping cough.
Yeah.
So then I looked into it and I found out that in Ireland, the same sort of anti-vax thing going on there. They, like 2 or 3 kids got really sick, maybe one of them died or something, of the vaccination.
Oh.
And they probably would have, but as a result, they closed down the whole vaccination project for whooping cough in Ireland for everybody.
Yeah.
So it says, oh, most of the kids aren't dying of whooping cough. And one kid died of the shot. So we're going to not let any kids or not worry about kids getting the vaccination for whooping cough. But it was scary.
Wow. Seems like it
Seeing
was
seeing
scary.
other kids have
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and it was contagious. So I thought, well, if I've never got it, if you see a bunch of kids with the mumps or the measles or something,
Yeah.
and you say, I never got that. How am I going to survive this? And then you realize, oh, I took the vaccination for it, and now I'm healthy
Yeah.
because of the vaccination. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
so
Poor baby got sick.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is sad
Mm.
when you see because when I was a kid, I was sick all the time, and I don't.
Yeah.
As an
So was
adult,
I.
I don't get sick, or
Yeah. Yeah. I don't get
cross
sick
my
as much
fingers.
as I was when I was a kid.
I mean, I would get these. I had a temperature with tonsillitis, and I had meningitis.
Oh.
I had like 108-degree temperature. As
Wow.
an adult, I could never. You can't survive 108 degree. I'm
Yeah.
surprised as a kid.
Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, I would get colds all the time.
I was sick. Yeah, I was
Like
always
I would have a runny nose and everything
runny
else.
noses and somebody said that's part of being a kid in a
Yeah.
way that your body is like a clean slate for viruses and
Yeah.
bacteria and diseases.
Yeah.
And thus, as you get older,
Yeah.
you've already kind of weathered that storm. But
Right.
but you know, as you get older, you
Right.
also what you do, and I
Right.
you know exercise. You never see me eat fast food.
Yeah.
You never I eat all fruits and vegetables
Yeah.
and lean meats and
I eat
stuff.
a whole variety of food.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, occasionally I will, if I get, cravings or something, I do a fast food, but, not all the time.
The same doctor who gave me the shot or prescribed the shot, told me that if you do well 90% of the time with your diet, that 10% is fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And our friend Tracy once told me that her doctor told her that never eat anything that comes out of a box,
Yeah.
which I think is great advice.
Yeah.
So, but eating, exercise, getting to sleep, stress. If
Yeah.
you have a stressful situation, try to get yourself out of it. If you have a job that's just
Yeah.
causing all this trouble,
Yeah.
some things you can't get out of. If you have
Yeah.
kids that are in trouble and stuff,
Right.
I feel parents are always going through a lot of stress with their kids and
Yeah.
everything. And deaths in the family.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can't avoid those things.
Yeah.
A lot of bad deaths this week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like,
Like Betty White, Sidney Poitier,
yeah.
and some other person that you mentioned.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about it. Where you want to start.
With Betty White first. So
All right.
I was shocked when she died because I thought she was going to live till her 100th birthday, which her birthday is on January the 17th.
It was a month away
I
when she
know.
died. Less than a
Yeah.
month. 3 weeks away
Yeah.
when she died. She died on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And
I had a friend who passed away last New Year's Eve. So,
yeah, that's a terrible death.
yeah, I know.
New Year's Eve.
I know.
What type of party is that?
I
That
know.
puts a pall on the whole New
I
Year's Eve party.
know. I know.
So anyway, I
Yeah.
want to hear a funny joke about Betty White's death?
Yeah.
We have a New Year's Eve party, and someone said, "Did you hear Betty White died?" I said, "Yeah," and so said, she was 99 years old, and somebody said, "What'd she die of?" And my person in my family said, "Parachute accident." 99, cause of death. She was 99 years old. But she lived a good life, and she was on television, I think, from the get-go, like 1947 or something.
Yeah.
She was actually, I think, on television, I think at the New York World's Fair in 1939 or something. I mean,
Yeah.
I heard all this stuff that she was basically the last person from really old television that's still alive. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved her though. She was great.
But she was still, I
Yeah,
mean,
I
she had the three wonderful shows.
She loved animals and everything.
She had the Mary Tyler Moore Show,
Yeah.
and then she had the Golden Girls, which was great.
Oh yeah.
And then she
Definitely.
shined. And
Yeah.
I mean, she was like a star on that show. And then she had the show Hot in Cleveland
Oh
when she was in
yeah.
her late 80s.
Oh, I like that show.
So she was in three great shows over a long time.
Yeah.
I remember a joke in the movie um, I'm Not Rappaport, where Walter Matthau is this old man in his
Yeah.
80s, and he says, "Look at us, look at us." He goes, you think life is short? Life is not short. It's very, very long."
He's good too. I like Walter
Walter
Matthau.
Matthau, yeah.
So.
And so Betty White, I never saw Betty White in person.
Yeah.
I didn't really have an opportunity. She didn't do like Broadway or anything where I mean, she might have, but
I mean, she
never
did sing though.
I never had an opportunity to see Betty White.
Yeah.
A lot of game shows and stuff,
Yeah.
and then
She was married to a game show host,
Alan Ludden.
Yeah,
Alan Ludden.
Alan Ludden.
She had no kids, probably
Well, she had stepkids by
Alan Ludden.
Yes.
But she had no.
So she
I
had
mean,
like blood kids.
they actually say when they show these people that live to be 100 or 110 years
Yeah.
old, they always say, "Well, how many kids did you have?" They always ask people that are really old, "Well, how'd you live so long?" And a lot of them don't have kids,
Yeah.
which kind of tells you something.
Yeah.
My dad says he got gray hair. It's hereditary. He got it from his children. Now the other thing is, and also they almost always say no smoking, no smoking. And I'm pretty sure Betty White never smoked. And so if you're smoking out there,
Yeah.
Put it out.
Yes. So you can live longer, just like Betty White did.
Yeah,
Duh.
and if you really want to get back at your enemies,
Yeah.
if you really want to get back at your enemies, don't die young.
Right.
Live a long time.
Right.
Okay, the other person who died was Sidney.
Yes, he was a great actor too. They called me Mr. Tibbs.
Yeah, from the In the Heat of the Night. Yeah,
Yes.
he was one of those actors that was he just made a string of great movies.
Yes.
I don't know anything he did in
The Patch
recent
of
years.
Blue.
Patch of Blue with the blind girl and the
Yeah.
mean mother,
To
played by
serve.
Shelley Winters.
Yeah. To
The
serve with
Sir with Love
love.
was so good.
Yeah.
The Teacher in London
Yeah.
and the song by Lulu,
Yes.
and then of course In the Heat of the Night was great.
Yeah.
He was in a film with Tony Curtis
Yeah.
where they leave a chain gang or something, escape from a prison,
Yeah.
and they're kind of have handcuffs. They're handcuffed
Right.
the whole movie, and it's really good.
Right.
The
Right.
Defiant Ones. There's what else? Oh, Lilies of the Field is so good.
Yes. Yeah.
Lily's. Oh, and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
Yeah, I like that
Spencer
one. That was a
Tracy's
really good
last
one.
movie.
Yeah.
When I think of Spencer, when I think of Sidney Poitier's probably greatest movie, I think of he not one he won an
Yeah.
Oscar for or
Yeah.
anything, but Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
Yes.
Because it did a lot to change the way intermarriage is thought of today. Even
Right.
though even in its day it was controversial. Even today it's controversial in the sense that it didn't do enough,
Yeah.
but just because it kind of broached it brought the subject out that it was still worth talking about.
Yeah.
And Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is just so good. I have I made a film with Sidney
Yeah.
Poitier.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't even know I was making it when I
Right.
signed on to it.
Right. Right.
There's a remake of The Jackal, which was partly made in Richmond, and it was a
Yeah.
remake of The Day of the Jackal. But the guy who wrote the book, Frederick Forsyth, wanted his name off the credits. He goes, "You can make
What?
any movie you want. This ain't this ain't The Day of the Jackal. The Day of the Jackal." There's another movie, an
Yeah.
earlier version,
Yeah.
about the assassination attempt of Charles de Gaulle, which is very good, and the book is very good.
Yeah.
The movie that I was in was all right.
Right.
But it was a reworking of the story, and it had Richard Gere as
Yeah.
an anti-terrorist guy, and the terrorist was played by in a villainous role, one of his
Yeah.
first villainous roles, Bruce Willis,
Right.
and it had modern technology compared to the old one, which
Yeah.
was basically just a sniper,
Yeah.
story of a sniper. But anyway, the like the I only saw the movie once. The FBI guy or something was played by operative that was kind of overseeing the thing to keep it from happening. The assassination, I think, of the first lady,
Yeah.
who looked exactly like Hillary Clinton at the
Yeah.
time because it was
Yeah.
filmed during the Clinton years.
Right.
Played by Tess Harper.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think I talked about this once before. I couldn't remember her name. Her name was
Yeah.
Tess Harper. You
Right.
might see her in a lot of movies.
Right. Right.
So anyway, so Sidney Poitier, I didn't know Sidney Poitier was in this movie, and then all of a sudden Sidney Poitier goes on the set of we're talking thousands of extras,
Yeah.
and he just gets like an applause. The others, Richard Gere and Bruce Willis, lukewarm
Okay.
applause. People,
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
likes them,
Yeah.
but when Sidney Poitier, he was beloved.
Right.
Everybody loved Sidney Poitier. So Sidney Poitier came on, but I never really got a chance to get closer. But I saw him walking around. I only saw
Yeah.
him, I think, the one day he was
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
Okay, I see the movie, and I'm literally with thousands of extras, and I can't. I'm trying to find myself. I took a friend of mine to see it and said, "Did you see me?" Oh no, and I thought I'd be with Richard Gere or
Yeah.
Bruce Willis in one
Yeah.
of the
Right.
scenes because I'm in
Right.
it a lot,
Yeah.
or I'm in it a
Right.
lot that was filmed.
Right. Right. Right.
And the only thing you could see of me is a stop, and I had to stop frame the DVD almost frame by frame to find myself. I think when I saw it in the theater, it just went by so fast. I think I saw myself.
Yeah.
And then I went back to that, and you
Yeah.
do see myself.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
put it in the comments.
Yeah. Yeah.
My picture with Sidney Poitier
You could. You
in
could.
the crowd.
You could always zoom it, like zoom it, and then
Well, I think it's probably the best picture it can because
Right.
he's really in front,
Right.
and then I'm sort of in the background. If you do me too close, I'm out of focus, and then you don't
Yes.
see Sydney.
Right. true.
But
Yeah.
I made a film
Okay.
with, so I did make a film with Sidney Poitier,
Right.
one of the greats. Yeah.
Right. Right.
So you know they say the greats die in threes,
Yeah.
and so first Betty White, now Sidney Poitier, and you know Larry Storch of F Troop, he just turned 99.
Oh wow.
So if the greats die in threes, if I were Larry Storch, the comedian,
Yeah.
I would get me to a doctor right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as it turns out, there was a
Right.
famous director that died, Peter Bogdanovich.
Yeah.
Peter Bogdanovich directed lots of great films,
Yeah.
like The Last Picture Show and Paper Moon.
Wow. Oh, I love that
And
movie, Paper
then he
Moon,
directed
with
What's Up,
Ryan
Doc?
O'Neal and Tatum
A
O'Neal.
lot of movies with Ryan O'Neal, a lot of movies with Burt Reynolds. He
Yeah.
made,
Yeah.
I think, Boris Karloff's basically last film called Targets,
Yeah.
and he continued making
Yeah.
lots of good films even up to recent
The
years.
only movie I saw about him was Paper Moon.
Paper Moon, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's a famous director, and he directed. He was a film critic,
Right.
and made documentaries and wrote books about people like John Ford and Orson Welles
Yeah.
and Alfred Hitchcock. He came to the Jewish Community Center to give a
Yeah.
lecture, and it was a very good lecture. And somebody said, "You're going to really love." The woman at the Jewish Community Center says, we had a phone call with him, and he was
Right.
so entertaining."
Right.
Peter Bogdanovich talking about
Yeah.
old Hollywood.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
said he will talk about Jimmy Stewart and Cary Grant and Alfred Hitchcock and
Yeah.
Orson
Right.
Welles,
Right.
and when he talks about them, he sounds exactly like them. I mean, he's like better
Wow.
than Rich Little as far as
Wow.
impersonations. So
Wow.
he just regaled us with all these
Wow.
stories about his life, and you know and the people he's met and everything. And a friend of mine used to see him all the time in recent years in New York,
Yeah.
somewhat retired. He would they would You would go to like an old time movie house, a revival house in New York,
Yeah.
to see an old movie by Ernst Lubitsch or
Yeah. Yeah.
somebody, or Preston Sturges, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden you would see Peter Bogdanovich, and
Yeah.
sometimes right before the show he would just get up and introduce himself and
Uh-huh.
says and just give a little like 5 minute
Yeah. Like.
speech
Yeah.
about the movie you're going to see. And he wasn't paid to do it. He just showed up and wanted to
Yeah.
see the movie
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah.
And he was very friendly and everything.
Yeah.
If you don't know anything about what I'm telling you all
Yeah.
about, he if you saw the TV show The Sopranos, he played he was friends with the producer
Right.
from David Chase from Northern Exposure. He appeared
Right.
once on that show
Right.
as an actor
Yeah.
playing
I remember
himself.
that show. Yeah.
So when the guy made The Sopranos, he got the part as the psychiatrist
Right.
that the Lorraine Bracco went to. See, when you're in a psychiatrist, when you're a psychiatrist hearing other people's problems, you have to go to psychiatrists to tell your problems too.
Yeah.
And her psychiatrist was played by the actor Peter Bogdanovich,
Yeah.
and probably now that's what he's most famous for, is being an actor on The Sopranos. Now, what's really funny is that if you look at the credits of The Sopranos, and we're talking maybe 80 shows, one of them he directed. But if you watch it, it's no different. It's
Yeah.
not a Peter Bogdanovich production. It's basically
Right.
just he directed it, but it
Right.
was no different from any other Sopranos
Right.
episodes. But if you
Right.
really want to know his movies, you go see Paper Moon. You see, especially his early stuff, Paper Moon and The Last Picture Show, Targets, and What's Up, Doc.
Yeah.
But all his other stuff is worthy of seeing too. You know, he made River Phoenix's last film. He made a lot of people's last films when you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a fine director, Peter
Mm.
Bogdanovich. And I got to tell you a funny story. My dealings with Peter Bogdanovich. I only had one dealing with him. He came to the Jewish Community
Uh-huh.
Center,
Uh-huh.
and he was very proud of being Jewish, and he gave he was there to
Right.
answer questions. And a lot of
Right.
the people in the audience,
Right.
now
Right.
questions from the audience,
Right.
and the questions. A lot of people say, "What's Ryan O'Neal like? What's Burt Reynolds like? What's
Yeah.
Barbara Streisand like?"
Yeah.
And he's what's Sybil Shepherd like? That was his
Right.
girlfriend for many years.
Right. Right.
And so I said, Mr. Intelligentsia,
Yeah.
he says, I understand you were the co-director and actor in a film that was never finished by Orson Welles called The Other Side of the Wind.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about that movie? And he said, thank you for asking that question. That was the highlight of my career. And that was
Wow.
early in his career, like 1972 or
Wow.
something.
Yeah.
And he said the film was finished. A lot of people think it's unfinished. It
Yeah.
was finished filming, but it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
never edited together.
Right.
It
Right.
still has to be patched
Wow.
together.
Wow.
the money was frozen as a result of the guy who produced it or put up the money for it was the brother of the Shah of Iran. And when
Wow.
the assets were frozen by America
Yeah.
and wouldn't let the Ayatollah and the new Iranian regime free it, it was stuck in a Paris vault for,
Right.
I'm not kidding you, 40 some years. And then last year,
Ah.
well, not last year, but when the Obama Iran deal happened, which I thought was a good thing, and we're
Yeah.
coming back to it again because the last thing we want is was Iran to have a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
God, stark raving mad in that country.
Yeah.
They released the movie. I mean,
Right.
they released everything, but
Right.
the movie got free.
Right.
So then
Right.
Netflix bought it and edited it, and you could catch it on Netflix. Called The
Yeah.
Other Side of the Wind. You'll see the actor, very young, Peter Bogdanovich. It's Orson Welles, of course, made what's considered the greatest movies
Right.
of all time,
Right.
Citizen Kane. And you can, and it was weird in the ads. It said, "The man who brought you Citizen Kane has a new
Yeah.
movie that was
Yeah.
made 50 years ago
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that has never
Yeah.
been released, and you can
Yeah.
watch it."
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have to admit, the movie is kind of hard to
Right.
watch. I mean,
Right.
it takes a little bit of you to watch.
Right.
It's not just
Yeah.
a typical
Yeah.
movie, but that's Orson Welles.
Right.
It's a movie that we're happy is now for us now. So
Yeah, I like Orson Welles too.
yeah,
So,
what do you like about Orson Welles?
he played on this movie called I was trying Jane Eyre.
Oh, Jane
He
Eyre. Oh,
catches
that's so good.
he's blind at the end.
He plays Mr. Rochester in it,
Yeah.
and in fact, that's my favorite version of Jane Eyre.
Yeah,
And
I
it
like
actually
that
he
one
didn't
too.
direct it, but it had a lot of his style
Yeah.
in it. And Jane Eyre is played by I think Joan Fontaine. It's one of
Yeah.
Elizabeth Taylor's first films.
Yeah, and the and Elizabeth Taylor and little Margaret O'Brien were in it.
Margaret O'Brien. Yeah, they're in an orphanage at the beginning
Yeah,
or boarding school or something. Yeah,
Liz Taylor died in the beginning.
yeah.
Like
She's her
she was in
character.
a few minutes in the movie, but she passed away.
Bernard Herrmann wrote the music for it.
Yeah.
Who wrote a lot of
Right.
Orson Welles soundtracks and everything.
Yeah.
And it's truly a great film. Jane Eyre is
I,
that version is my favorite version.
yeah, mine too. I forgot what the other little girl's name was.
Yeah,
That was Miss Liz Taylor of the
yeah,
movie.
yeah. Then when she grows up, she becomes the Joan Fontaine character.
And then she becomes Margaret O'Brien's caregiver or whatever.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's where that. Yeah, I was wondering where Margaret O'Brien came in there, but
Yeah.
and then that and I mean that I don't want to give too much if you haven't
Yeah. Yeah.
read Jane
It's a
Eyre the
good
book
movie though.
or
It's
the
a good
movie.
movie. I
That
recommend you.
crazy woman in the tower.
Yeah.
The wife. Let me tell you something. Never.
Agnes Moorehead played in that one
Agnes
too.
Moore. Well, she's in a lot of
She
Orson
played the
Welles films.
stepmom,
Yeah.
and she was dying.
Jane
Yeah.
Eyre is such a good movie, and I tell people, if you're ever invited to a wedding and you always have to give a gift, never give a deluxe bound edition of Jane Eyre. It'll it'll turn everyone off a marriage if you ever read that book.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for having me. It's another.
Absolutely.
This is
Yes.
is this the first? That's not the first show of the new year, is it? I guess it
Um.
is.
Well, we did it. I think. So I think before New Year's.
Oh, so this is the first
This is the first
2022 show.
2022 show.
Yeah.
So, and thank you all for tuning in, and may God bless, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day today. So.